I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now, I'm laying it down. I know that I need you. I run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your Son for redemption, the price for my heart. I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 oh. My heart has been in your sights long before my first breath, running into your arms, running to life from death. And I feel this rush deep in my chest. Mercy is calling out, just as I am. I need you now. I know I need you now. Run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and sing it out. I run to the Father, run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. 'Cause my heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 again and again. Oh, 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 again and again.
Our series here in February, as you have seen, is called Intentions, and that is because the song that, clever title. Also, we have all kinds of intentions about love, right? And hopefully they're all good, but sometimes they can be not so good, and so we're going to talk about those different types and forms of that, okay? So tonight, we're going to start out. We're going to talk about two different things, but we're going to start with marriage. And I know y'all think, hey, some of y'all are 12. Y'all range 12 to 18, and so some of y'all, like, marriage is way down the road. But I want y'all to know about marriage the proper way, the Christian way, and not the street way. So I want y'all to know the godly facets of marriage. Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about tonight, all right? We're going to talk about myths about marriage, okay? So I have 4 myths, M-Y-T-H-S, myths about marriage, okay? So the first myth about marriage is this: marriage is an outdated tradition and it's not worth the hassle. So marriage is an outdated tradition and it isn't worth the hassle. Y'all, this is a myth. This is a lie. This is something that we hear. You may have heard this or may have even thought it because of, marriages that you have seen exemplified in front of you. I don't know. But, y'all, here's the thing. This is what makes this statement a myth, all right? Marriage is actually the foundation of a family, or it should be. I hope it is. It's the foundation because for a community to thrive and for a society to really thrive and get going and be healthy, it needs healthy communities. And your community starts with your family, with your marriage. And so whenever you become husband and wife, you have become a community. And then you may have kids, and your community gets bigger, and then you have bigger communities with other people. So like, Chris Ray and I got married, Court McKenna got married, and so we have healthy communities, and now we can make our community bigger. Does that make sense? All right, and so the community thrives that way. So when people, here's the thing, listen to this. When people live together outside of the binding commitment of marriage, it restricts things. Are y'all listening to this? This is important. Whenever people live out of the binding commitment of marriage, which we see all the time, right? I don't know if that has ever happened in your situation or whatever, but we see it all the time, right? I'm sure everybody knows somebody that's living with somebody outside of marriage. And the thing is it restricts things. It restricts everything. And so this is why this statement about marriage is an outdated tradition that isn't worth the hassle is a myth, okay? So going on to the next one. Being married means having a shackled and boring life. Has anybody ever heard the statement, the old ball and chain? Yeah, you go, maybe you go, you're out with your homies and you're like, hey, the old ball and chain is telling me, I gotta, go at 10:30 or whatever. Which y'all probably don't know a whole lot about that because none of y'all are married. But this is something that married guys that used to party and stuff say a lot. They go, oh, the old ball and chain tells me I have to be home at 10:30 or 11 tonight instead of, 2 in the morning like it used to do. So being married means having a shackled and boring life. This is not true because being married means having the unconditional support of someone who loves you, encourages you, and defends you. And that is awesome. That's why marriage is so awesome. Y'all, marriage brings strength and sexual pleasure without negative consequences. And that's why marriage is so important. And to do everything properly within marriage. Marriage was designed by God to be a source of strength, joy, and pleasure. I want you to hear that again. Marriage was designed by who? God, right? So God designed marriage. He made marriage. They should be the person that you marry, your spouse, your husband or wife. They should be the person that you can lounge around the couch with, and they don't have to worry about wearing makeup, but they should also be the person that you get dressed up with and you feel like that you can go out on dates with even though you're married, just like you did when you were dating. And they should be people that you go on vacations with, adventures with, and all that kind of stuff, all right? Y'all listening to me? Listen up. And they should be your best friend, and they should be able to be a source of comfort and also stretch you in a healthy way. So I always say this. I always say, Chrissy Ray makes me a better person. Now, that doesn't mean that she has changed me, and she's changed the way I act, and she's changed the way I look, and she's changed, everything about me. No, but she makes me better because if I mess up, she goes, hey, you messed up, and this is how we can, do better next time. It's kind of like teaching a little kid. But she makes me better, and I hopefully do the same for her. And so that's what a marriage should look like, a proper marriage, all right? So the third myth, marriage is a 50-50 equation. So if you don't understand this, it's like you believe that y'all should both be doing half and half. It should be half and half. Like, I do this, so they should do that. I do this, so they should do that. And y'all, that's not a healthy way to live in your marriage. And here's why. Marriage is about not giving 50%. It's about giving 100%. And get this. It's not only about giving 100%, but it's about giving 100% and expecting nothing back. And so, y'all, Jesus gave how much percent to us? 100, right? He gave it all. He gave everything. He gave his life for us. And we should do the same. We should live our life the same way. We should be willing to give our life to our husband or our wife. And so, y'all, the point of love is to give and not to take. The myth of marriage being 50-50 is wrong because it's like keeping score. Like I said, it's like, hey, I did this, so you should do that. And so, like, Chrissy Ray and I have some roles around the house that we typically do. So, like, she cooks, so I do the dishes. And I take out the trash and mow the lawn, and then she does the laundry. But here's the thing. There may be times where she can't cook because she's so tired, or maybe she's sick. And so there's times where your spouse is only going to be able to give 1%, and you got to be able to give that 99% and not expect them to do anything back. You've got to be able to always think, hey, I need to be giving 100% in my marriage all the time. So that's the third myth. The last myth, or at least, there's tons of myths, but the last myth that we're going to talk about, divorce is an easy way out. Divorce is an easy way out. Y'all, God desires unity and not division. Now, I don't want you to get this in your head. There are circumstances and extreme cases where divorce is, the only answer. My older brother is divorced. He's been divorced. Pastor Rick has been divorced. Miss Cindy, his now wife that he's been married to for a while, she was divorced. So some of the most Christian people I know and some of the most amazing Christ followers I know have been divorced. So, but there were extreme circumstances, and I'm not going to tell all the stories and stuff because that's not my business to tell. But it was in extreme cases. So the Bible reserves divorce for severe issues such as adultery and maybe other things, but even if it's justified, it may not always be the answer. It may not always be required because God can redeem any situation. God can fix and heal and mend and redeem any situation, and there's incredible restoration through God. So divorce may be an option, but in some cases, it may not be. So I just want y'all to know that this myth of divorce is an easy way out is not a way to live. Whenever you're going into a marriage, it's not like you dating right now in junior high or high school where you go, hey, that girl or that guy is hot, so we're going to start dating, and if I don't like her or I don't like him, then we'll just break up. It's not like that in a marriage, which I hope that you don't date like that either. I hope you date to try and marry. But divorce is not an easy way out, okay? We understand that? All right. So, divorce is not a word to just throw around lightly, okay? You should always fight for unity as much as you possibly can. Everybody got that? Okay. All right. So we're done with myths about marriage. So we're going to go into the awkward part a little bit, okay? So y'all be mature for me for a minute, okay? We're going to talk about sexual activity for a few minutes, okay? But the reason I'm doing this is because I want y'all to hear this from a biblical perspective, okay? That's why I do this every year. I talk about it in some form or fashion because I believe that you need to hear it in a church biblical setting, okay? So just like God created marriage, God also created sex. It's the same thing. So let's look at sexual activity from a holy perspective. Like I just said, God designed sex. But here's what happened. Satan perverted it. So that's why we have all these thoughts about it and doing it wrong and everything like that because Satan perverted it. But here's the thing, God can redeem it because God created it. All right? So Genesis 2:25 says this, and I don't have it on the screen. Y'all just listen. It says, "Now the man and his wife were both naked, but they felt no shame." All right? So this is what, whenever God created man and woman, they were naked, but they felt no shame. And then as soon as they ate from the tree of knowledge and evil in the garden that they were told not to eat from God, and the serpent, which was Satan, told them, or just, found a way to make them eat from it. As soon as that happened, what was the first thing they did? They clothed themselves. They put fig leaves around themselves because they saw the perversion. So Satan perverted it, and they saw the perversion. So that's what happened. So when sin enters, then the form of nakedness becomes shame. When God didn't create sexual activity to be that way. All right? Y'all still with me? All right, so going back to marriage relationships. So listen, I got about 5 minutes. Y'all stick with me. In a marriage relationship, sex is most definitely not prohibited or banned, right? Because God created sex to be in a marriage, all right? But here's the thing. I want y'all to get this because this is important because our culture doesn't do this right. So in a marriage relationship, sex is definitely not prohibited or banned, but it is private. It's private. And people don't do this right. They brag and they say, hey, I got with this girl, I got with this guy. They keep up numbers and all this stuff. And I'm sure y'all have heard all of that kind of stuff. I know in high school that stuff happens. So, but even in a marriage, you still shouldn't talk about. And I am going to confess something. I have done this. I joke every now and again to my parents or her parents or something because we're all married. And so we just kind of say, oh, we're going to go home and so make jokes about it. And I know it embarrasses Christy Ray, and so I'm trying to get better at not doing that because I know it should be something that we keep private. Okay? So when married, don't discuss those relations in public. And you definitely shouldn't, if you're not married, because you shouldn't be doing them. So Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4 says this. You have that up there? Yes. Give honor to marriage and remain faithful to one another in marriage. God will surely judge people who are immoral and those who commit adultery. So y'all listen to this. I'm wrapping up. Give honor to marriage and be pure in the marriage. So when you're married, give honor to it and be pure in it. Okay, here we go. This is important. Fornication. Anybody ever heard that word before? Fornication is a sin. And what fornication means is any sexual relationship before marriage. That's what fornication is, okay? So any sexual relationship before marriage is called fornication, and that is a sin. All right? Adultery. You heard that word before because I just said it not too long ago. Adultery, for those of you that have heard that word and you don't really know what it means, adultery is any sexual relationship outside of marriage that isn't your spouse. So if you're married and you have sexual relations with somebody that is not your spouse, that is adultery. So when you're reading your Bible and you see something about not committing adultery, then that is what it is. It's sexual relationship outside of marriage. And then there's lust. Another word that we talk about. This can be known as like the mental version of adultery or fornication. It's when you look at a guy or you look at a girl and you think about what you would want to do to them or with them or whatever. And so that's what lust is, okay? And here's the thing about lust. Lust takes while love gives. So love takes away while love gives towards. All right? And here's how I'm going to end this. Y'all, sex is not a dirty thing as long as you do it the right way. And the right way is the holy way in marriage, because marriage and sex were created by God. We got that? Amen?